Good morning. Happy Monday if you're in a Monday part of the world. Today's word is brownfield. One word. And what does it mean? Now, for this word, unlike a lot of the ideas or concepts I talk about, if you go Google them, that word by itself, it actually returned, besides the ad for someone that studies brownfields, reports on them, it actually talked about what brownfields are. Now, depending on the framing, a brownfield could be, framing is what you look through something at. What's relevant in your mind to a brownfield? Is it a mature crop of wheat? So that the Googles return specific responses to that word brownfield made me smile. But in order to understand what the brownfield is, you would have to poke into a whole lot of those. But basically, it is a former hazardous waste site, right? A brownfield. These are notable locations that usually the populations around them are less well off, less taken care of. The hospitals might be a little further away. The drugs might be a little more rampant in those communities nearby or sitting on top of. So these brownfields, that concept, that idea is reasonably important in the big scheme of things. Why? Why would one word be important? If you live in or around Portland, you'll hear complaints about buildings not being developed. And some of the reasons are they are brownfields. They don't advertise it, they don't brag about it. But in commercial real estate, you'll likely find out about it when you go try to get permits or approvals to go get things done. Because disturbing the soil, disturbing the building, it's like asbestos. We know about asbestos. We know well about asbestos, but we have allowed ourselves to wrap it and cover it up and try to keep it safe from the human environment until we can afford to. So a building could be riddled with asbestos in the walls, in the insulation for the steam or the boilers. These things can create a brownfield that need expensive remediation, if remediation's even possible. What I didn't go look for is the word, what is beyond a brownfield? Well, a brownfield is something that you can live by or tolerate or put up with, but that next level of harm, of risk, creates another word for an area. But let's get back to brownfields. Brownfields almost always are former industrial sites. When you go look at current maps of brownfield locations, and you will not find a consolidated one, which is rather odd. Because multiple agencies manage and are responsible for these brownfields. Now, oddly, those agencies should rely on the same sciences in their goals, but one might be worried about nuclear waste. One might be worried about hard chemical waste. Another might be worried about human environment and our interactions with risky what we've done. So back in the 60s and 70s, we learned that dry cleaning fluid was not a good thing for general population health or the people that worked specifically with it. But you would have had to have been around in those times to know it, and then you would have had to, we didn't have the internet. You would have had to have known where to go dig up and find a map of hazardous waste sites in an area or a region. You might have to mail somebody a check in order to have the map sent, because it's effort. Effort equals work. Work equals a paycheck of some sort, or a reward, a carrot. So once the political dust settles, what are we going to talk about? How boring can we make this life be? Brownfields, environmental contamination. And the reason I mention this is these are almost always abandoned business sites. Very rarely is it one person that did this, especially when you look at it legally, because corporations, business, can cover for its sins. But this place, the location still has to be remediated. Anyway, we should no longer allow a greenfield site. Is just that. It's green. It's virgin, relatively virgin. Maybe it had a house on it, but it never had heavy industry on it. It should be de-incentivized. Take it away. Make business clean up those waste sites. And if Uncle Sam's the one that has to do it, that's just business. The cost of doing so. Pieces. Too many pieces.